Okay, let's talk about a spice that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Cinnamon, right? You put it in your oatmeal, maybe in your coffee. But what if I told you its history is packed with giant monster birds, secret islands, and literal centuries of war? Yeah, let's get into this absolutely wild story. So, our story starts with this incredible tale from the ancient Greek historian Herodotus. He's trying to figure out where cinnamon comes from, and his best guess? These giant cinnamon birds build nests out of it on impossible-to-reach cliffs. So, to get the stuff, traders would leave out these huge chunks of meat. The birds would haul it back, the nest would get too heavy, and they'd come crashing down. Boom, cinnamon. It's a crazy story, right? But it was told for a very, very good reason, to hide the truth. And hiding the truth was everything because this spice was unbelievably valuable. I mean, the Roman writer Pliny the Elder wrote that pound for pound, cinnamon was worth more than 15 times the price of silver. Think about that. In ancient Rome, it was considered a gift fit for kings and even gods. So that really is the big question, isn't it? Why on earth would people pay a fortune for what we think of as just a simple flavoring? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. It really wasn't about the taste. Here's the thing you've got to understand. For most of history, cinnamon's incredible value came from its power as a medicine. Long before it was in your cinnamon rolls, it was a cornerstone of the ancient pharmacy. What's amazing is just how widespread its use was. I mean, we're talking thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians used it in their embalming rituals. It even gets a mention in the Bible as part of a sacred anointing oil. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and European doctors are prescribing it for coughs and sore throats. And the famous Persian scholar Al-Razi, he recommended it for treating everything from wounds to tumors. For millennia, this was seen as a powerful healing agent. So, with demand this high, both for medicine and for luxury, the source of cinnamon became one of the most closely guarded secrets in the history of trade. The people who controlled that supply were not about to let their secret out. And this brings us right back to those monster birds. For centuries, it was Arab merchants who controlled the cinnamon trade into Europe. And to keep competitors out and to keep prices sky high, they made up these incredible stories of winged serpents and other terrifying beasts guarding the cinnamon groves. It was a brilliant and honestly a super effective way to protect their monopoly. All right, so if it wasn't from the nests of giant birds in some mythical land, where was the real source? This mystery absolutely captivated Europe for more than 1,000 years. All of that myth, all of that mystery, all of that incredible value, it all pointed to one single place, a single island off the coast of India, which was then known as Ceylon. Today, we call it Sri Lanka. This one island was the exclusive home of what we now call true cinnamon. But once that secret was out, the story of cinnamon totally changes. It goes from a mystery to a brutal centuries-long war. Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece of the island and control of the sweetwood. It kicked off in 1505 when a storm literally blew a Portuguese fleet onto the shores of Ceylon. They figured out where they were pretty fast, and by 1518 they'd seized control of the trade. Then, in the 1600s, the Dutch showed up. They allied with the local king to kick the Portuguese out, only to set up their own even more ruthless monopoly. And finally, in 1796, the British Empire took the island from the Dutch. We're talking nearly 300 years of European powers fighting and dying over this one spice. This quote from a Dutch captain really just says it all. Can you imagine that? Sailing for weeks across the ocean, and then long before you can even see land, the air is just filled with the sweet, spicy smell of cinnamon? That's what they were fighting for. So how did we go from a spice that was worth more than silver, a spice that empires fought over, to something that you can pick up for a few bucks at the grocery store? This is where the story enters the modern age. Well, a monopoly that tight just can't last forever. Eventually, people figured out how to transplant and grow cinnamon trees in other places with similar climates. Places like India, Indonesia, and the West Indies. And once the supply wasn't tied to just one island anymore, the price plummeted, and cinnamon finally became a spice for everyone. But here is a really important takeaway for you. The cinnamon you're probably buying at the store isn't the same stuff those empires were fighting over. Most of what's sold today is actually cassia cinnamon, which comes from China and Southeast Asia. The original Sri Lankan stuff, Ceylon, is much lighter and more delicate. Cassia is harder, darker, and has that really strong, spicy flavor we're used to.
It also has much higher levels of a compound called coumarin, which you probably don't want too much of.
And you can really see this shift when you look at the global market today. It's totally dominated by the cassia-producing countries: China, Indonesia, Vietnam. Sri Lanka, the original home of true cinnamon, now produces less than 10% of the world's supply. So, we kind of end right back where we started. Cinnamon has gone on this incredible journey, from a sacred medicine to a symbol of unbelievable wealth to an everyday kitchen spice. But it leaves us with this one fascinating question. After all that history, what should we make of the very thing that made it so valuable in the first place, its ancient reputation as a powerful medicine? Now that's a story for another time.